You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and the interview subject you've tuned in to hear, it's Bobby Blitz Ellsworth, the one and only, the fella at the centre of New Jersey's thrash legends, Overkill. Now, the reason for the conversation is to promote the 2017 studio release from the band, titled The Grinding Wheel. So let's have a listen to what the legend has to say. Here we go.
Oh, I'm good, mate. Thanks very much for taking the time to reach out and have a chat. Most appreciated.
Give me a time over there. I'm obviously disturbing your very early morning, no?
No, that's all good. It's 20 to 6 a.m., but I'm usually up at this time anyway because I go to the surf every morning. So, yeah, so it's not really a drama, mate. Plus, this part of the world is where I'm from is a bit like Hawaii in that the sun comes up at about bloody 4:30 as it is anyway. So, you know, you look outside and it might as well be 11 a.m.
Let me tell you something. I don't feel sorry for you anymore, and I take my apology back. It sounds like you're living in paradise.
All good, mate. All good.
Andrew, let me change that. Andrew, fuck you.
Mate, compliment taken. No worries. No worries at all. Mate, I was actually a bit nervous about taking your call because I've been a fan of your band for years. And, you know, you do these interviews and the like and you can be a bit more objective. But so I'm going to get the fanboy out of me for a moment just before we kick things off officially, if that's okay, and just say congratulations on a stellar career. I loved Horoscope, still love Horoscope to this day. Yeah, mate, just thanks for making the music that you've made.
Hey, man, appreciate it. I know how you feel because I'm obviously a fan of this music also, and I've had experiences in my life where, you know, I've got to meet some of the people that inspired me and gave me solace in times of despair and excited me like crystal methamphetamines at other times. But and I would meet them and I would say, oh, I don't know if I even want to talk to this fucking guy because he might be an absolute fucking asshole, and then I'll have to go home and break all his records.
Yeah, look, thankfully, mate, I've got to tell you, off the record, I haven't had any of those experiences. The closest that I've had was when I met Dave Mustaine years ago, and it was a bit interesting. But, mate, it wouldn't be an interaction with Dave Mustaine if there wasn't some attitude present. Is probably the fact of the matter.
It's one of the attractive natures of the man is that he is unpredictable, and it's one of the things I honestly love about him is that you never know who you're going to get, and that's great.
Yeah, no, that's right, mate. That's right. So, mate, I'd like to kick the interview off proper. Actually, I'll ask first, mate, how much time have we got?
My next one comes in. Hang on, I'm just got to get you off the thing. I got till approximately 3:15. How's that?
Is that? Yeah, oh, sorry, it's because of the time.
It's about a half hour. It's about approximately a half hour.
Half hour, perfect. Yeah, plenty of time, mate. No worries. So, first up for the interview proper, congratulations as The Grinding Wheel. It's a crushing thrash extravaganza, as if it was going to be anything else, so to be honest, given your output to date. How do you think fans are going to react?
Well, I can only judge by internal satisfaction, and that's really our gauge with regard to our releases. We approach this with a certain amount of experience and maturity, but inside you're still that hopping up and down, late teenager kind of a thing, and that's the excitement I feel right now. So I don't know. I do know that with regard to our satisfaction, if that's any gauge, it's going to be accepted really well. I think it contains many different elements of Overkill, not the two-dimensional Overkill, but multi-dimensional, which is always fun. Yep. There's some groove in there, traditional heavy metal. There's some hardcore and thrash, and there's rock and roll and punk and epic feels. So I think you got 10 cuts there that each have an individual identity unto each other, but when put together, a complete record. And that to me speaks success. I hope it does to the listeners too.
Yep, great. And Andy Sneap mixed the album. Was there a particular sound that you were trying to achieve?
Well, we wanted the Overkill sound, and we wanted to personify. I think when you listen to this, I could tell from talking to you, you followed us around a little bit, but we caught a wave with the last 3 records, but we're a little bit short on the production here and there, in our opinion. And Andy has a certain template of what he does, and he's the state of the art when it comes to ears for this part of the genre, I think. that he makes Accept sound like Accept or Megadeth like Megadeth, or Channaby, etc. So I think that when we went in to produce this record, we were saying we want a heavier Overkill. We want to depart back into what was, but give it a fresh coat of paint for 2017. And what I mean by that is, let's start with organic drums, or more organic drums.
Sure.
Let's start with a guitar that comes from the gut and not from the nose. We think that those two qualities or characteristics of modern day metal lend it to a familiar. They're familiar unto each other from band to band and can be. So I think that that was our start with it. When we wished that on Andy and presented it to him, with his ears and template, he took that and made it from the gut and made it sound like post-horoscope with a 2017 vibe on it. So I'm really happy with the production. He took a good album and, in my opinion, made it great.
Gotcha. Tell me about the song Our Finest Hour. Is that a commentary on anything in particular?
It's a conversation between two. It's almost like a conversation between two guys in New Jersey. From an old school perspective, and one has confidence and experience, and the other has neither. The point is that we can commit this crime if we do it together. If you have any doubts, watch and follow me.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it's actually, the bigger picture is with regard to unity, or let's say friendship or camaraderie. So it's just taken from that, let's say, feminist perspective.
Gotcha, mate. Yeah. So this is I was just going from Wikipedia. This is your 18th studio album, and it's your 30th release overall. So it's a remarkable career milestone. What's the secret to your success, do you think?
40 releases. I don't even know if there was 40, but that's unique. I think, I don't think there was ever a plan. I think that's part of the reason it could succeed, because there was no goals we were trying to reach long term. I think we were kind of taking it day to day and project to project. And I think that speaks volumes of why we're still around, because when you do it in small doses like that, you have the opportunity to look at things realistically and put as much as you can into those projects or into those days. And I'll say it to this day, what's your most important show? Well, it's the next one. What was your biggest show? What's the next one? Whatever that one may be. And I think that's kind of an Overkill principle that leads to longevity, because what's your most important record? It's obviously the grinding wheel. Is it the best? I won't say that, but I'll say it's the most important because it's in front of us right now. And that, I think that method has given us the legs to grind on for, let's say, 30 plus years.
Yeah, gotcha, mate. I think also too, mate, like I'm working class, and it sounds like you've got a working class ethic, mate, too. So, that statement that you're only as good as your last release, that sort of thing, or you're only as good as if you're in a sales job, for example, you're only as good as the last number you contributed, that sort of thing. You're always aspiring to keeping on to contributing.
But isn't that a great way to live? I mean, it's for sure it's what we understand, and I think that's evident in the music. We come from an area in New Jersey that is, was common unto the working man. I remember my mother's first generation American, and I would have these Irish uncles, and what they would say to me is, "You work hard and you keep your fucking mouth shut."
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way. That's kind of we've taken that somewhere and made that work for us. We don't air our dirty laundry in public, and we put our nose to the grindstone. And it's just, it's paid off for us in time. And with time comes that fulfillment of feeling successful. Everything in my fucking life has come out of this band. That's because I've treated it with respect and with a high degree of passion. And I think the people I've done it with, especially Dee Dee Gurney with regard to longevity, has done it equally so, if not more. And that's why this shit works.
Yeah, you've segued very nicely into my next question then, which is, what is it about yourself and Dee Dee that's allowed your partnership to survive well over 35 years? If I'm not mistaken, mate, you guys have been brothers or partners in crime now for about 38 years.
But the only reason I hang out with him is because he can't speak English. I really can't stand him.
After all these years, he's still learning.
My uncles told me that about the Italians too.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
And that's what and that's a great thing about it. He has an Italian immigrant background. I have an Irish immigrant background. Dave has a Polish and Irish immigrant background. We're all like third generations here. We're the third in, or the second in. I'm the second in. He's the second in. His grandparents are from Italy. And I think that, I was talking to his wife, who I had met. I met Dee Dee early on in '81. I think I met Lisa the day after. And that's how long these guys have been together. They were boyfriend and girlfriend in high school. It's something to be said for people like that. And we were talking, couldn't have been more than a couple of years ago, and Lisa said to me, it's funny about you and Edie, how it's worked, but she goes, if you really think about it, it was only meant to be. You have almost exactly the same backgrounds.
Yeah,
you come from, to put your family before
exactly.
business.
Spot on.
And the business will take care of itself. And I think that's how it's worked for us. That it's more about, hey, dude, are you okay? That's more important than, what do you mean you can't do the show? That's why it works for us. So, and I think it's also the newer guys or the later comers in time, which is still a long-standing lineup, that we still have kind of spread that out. And as long as the family's good, the band will be fine. So.
Yeah, so look, I'm obviously, as you know, mate, I'm a big fan of the band, and I have been a fan for a long time. So, yeah, you're okay if I ask a few questions about Bobby? Or one question about Bobby Gustafson. So, he's the guitarist in the band in the first 4 albums, including probably my second favourite album, which was Years of Decay. What are your thoughts on his contribution to the band, and how crucial was he to the band's early success?
Who?
Bobby Gustafson. Oh, right, sorry.
Just like doing that shit.
Sorry, mate.
I just want to have fun with this all doing. Of course, and Bobby was an instrumental part of this band. I mean, we had delved into a few originals before Bobby came into the band, but when Bobby came into the band, the covers started disappearing and the originals started showing themselves more, so there was a chemistry almost right at the beginning. And I think Bobby's contributions in the Years of Decay are without a doubt of the highest level. I still think it was a team back then. I do believe that Bobby, as much as an idea man as he was one of those guys who would think it out, and he'd bring it to the table. But I think that he also needed the entire band to complete that, whatever that idea was. A riff, a song does not make, for instance. But I think that without him, there would have not have been that first era of the band, and I'm obviously forever grateful to his contributions to the band for that reason.
Yeah, gotcha. So you've had a few guitarists over the years. I think last count, including the 2 that are in the band at the moment, 13 guitarists, and you've had members of Anthrax and Annihilator in the band. Would Overkill ever put on a show where former members are invited on stage, similar to what Metallica did for their 30th anniversary?
Oh, geez, we don't really think about such things. I mean, we're really so caught up in the present day.
Sure.
It's that whole work ethic thing that, I don't know if people realize, the whole industry has changed to the point where, sure, we do this, sure, we make a living, but it's like treading water. It's a fragile thing. We don't afford the luxury to do these things that will take us out of a market, for instance, for a year because and not have the positive revenue flow. For instance, I think it would work. I think it would be fun to do for sure. But we've never talked about it. I had Sid Valve with us from the Horoscope record.
Yes.
That was his last, and he also did Years with us. He came down to a show in Dallas, Texas. He's
awesome.
In the area doing business. And I swear to God, every time I came off stage during the show, I could see him standing behind Ron, just drooling, waiting to go up there. And I kept going, Sid, just ask him. Just ask him, man. He'll let you. He's a good kid.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's awesome. And look, much has been made of your contribution to thrash metal and heavy metal. I'm going to call it heavy metal over the years because there's so many bloody subgenres these days you don't know where to start. But, Metallica have done the big 4 along with Slayer, Megadeth and Anthrax. is there a possibility that you guys, Testament and Exodus, could put on, say, a Big Three concert? Because your contribution to thrash metal is duly noted.
Yeah, like a little three. You know what I mean?
Well, as I've already alluded to, mate, I'm a bigger fan of you guys than I am of anybody else in any of the bands that I've just mentioned. So I'd love it if you could do something with those guys, but that's only my opinion, of course, you know. But yeah,
we'll call it the redheaded stepchild.
Redheaded stepchild, yeah. Gotcha.
I mean, I would love to do so. I mean, I think that if I had to pick my favorites out of that second tour, us aside, obviously Exodus and Testament deserves kudos. And I think the band that, one of the bands that gets less kudos when thinking of that second tier, but is right on the Husk's Creator. I mean, I think that Creator, I remember the 90s because you had to go through the 90s like a bulldozer. You couldn't stop because it wasn't easy to do. And it's my most proud era of this band is the 90s because it wasn't given to you. There was nothing given to you then. You had to go out and you had to steal it, and you had to borrow it, and you had to make it happen. And I think of them as a band like so, that their quality releases, when a lot of people went home and worked for their mom and dad and smoked cigarettes in the basement wondering why nobody appreciated their fucking genius, there was a couple of bands out there doing some things.
Yeah. I know. I was going to comment. I was going to comment and say it could be the Big Six. So along with yourselves, Testament and Exodus, you could add Creator, Destruction, and Sodom as well. You could almost go that far. And I was going to put Creator in that mix, but they're Teutonic and all that sort of thing. I was sort of going to, Big Three, Big Six, or even Big Four. But I think it was Zetro Souza or Gary Holt actually alluded to a Big Four, including Creator and the bands yourself. Testament and Exodus already, so mate, I think the thought's out there somewhere, and hopefully a promoter offers you enough dosh to make it real.
It would be really interesting. I mean, we did a run through the States, co-headline with Creator in 15, and it was like touring with your cousins, man. I mean, it was just awesome. It was like, I didn't know I have German cousins, and
wow, yeah.
But I'd always been a fan of the band, and I had known Milla over the years, but I got to know Ventura better, and I got to know Speezy, and Speezy and I got along famously. We're both like, love riding like ratty bikes and everything, and like big engines. And and I'm standing there with Speezy, and we're having a beer, and he says to me in this broken English, "I love you, man." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because it's like talking to me."
Yeah. It's a shared metal brotherhood right there, isn't it? No matter where you come from in the world. Yep.
Well, they're the real deal. That's what I like about it. They're the real deal. What you see is what you get. So.
Yeah, and look, you've already alluded to a little bit, but to be quite frank, and I'm a fan of Creator as well, but they had their moments in the 90s where I don't know what they were trying to do, to be honest with you, but it certainly wasn't a Creator sound, and you guys are synonymous with staying true through the 90s, and look, Horoscope is a fan favourite. It's just had its 25th anniversary, so you started the 90s with an extraordinarily strong album. Again, in my view, it's my favourite album of yours. How did you stay true through the 90s?
Well, I think that we just had to, first of all, we don't have an identity crisis. Second of all, we discovered groove on the Horoscope record.
Yes.
I mean, everybody says that Horoscope record, oh, what a great thrash record, but if you really dig into that record, we started with groove on a song called Skull Crusher Friday.
Yep.
We expanded it on Horoscope. By the time it got I Hear Black, it was a groove record.
Yeah, thanks for nothing. Yeah, awesome.
Now, obviously, pulled the reins in a little bit as the 90s progressed with WFO and The Killing Kind and things to follow. But I think that we discovered groove, and I think that was one of the things that helped us get through the 90s was that we could power it like a sledgehammer. It was a different tool to use, and it gave us. I'm not going to say it's the only reason, but for sure it's one of the indicators that gave us legs during a time when it wasn't easy to play under the banner of heavy metal.
Yeah.
But we still were. We were a metal band, and this is just the way it's going to fucking be. If you want us to leave the room, you're going to have to kill us.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. We're not leaving easy, So I think to some degree it made us feel a little bit more dangerous. And I remember talking with Dee Dee in the late 90s, and I love this story, and we were getting ready to do the Underground, and I said, "What do you think?" He said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "We're not going to reinvent the fucking wheel, are we?"
Yeah.
I said, "No, of course not." He goes, "Blitz, there's nothing more dangerous than two guys with nothing to lose." And I said, he's 100% right. That's what got us through the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that we didn't feel like we had anything to lose. We were actually dangerous. So it was, by discovering groove and not caring, it kind of made us a little bit dangerous and helped us solidify our point within that decade of non-metallic decade.
Yeah, gotcha. So on that note, if it all ended tomorrow, have you achieved what you wanted to achieve with Overkill?
I suppose so. I mean, it's given me everything I love in life, you know. I mean, I like people. I like to travel. I love loud music. I like my heart beating faster, you know. It's like a drug to me. But I don't ever or have never had these. I'd like to be, nominated for this, or I would like to play this venue. For me, it's always been satisfying on a level that I understand, and that's this level. But I've met my wife through this. I've gotten hobbies from this. I've started other businesses from this.
Yeah.
You know, the idea is that it's about life, and what fulfills you in life is a life well lived. Now that's the best fucking revenge on the whole thing. You know, so somewhere in there, I got what I wanted, but I didn't have a list prior to starting.
Yeah, gotcha. So what would you say to a young band starting out in 2017 with all that experience you've got?
Oh, geez, you know, it's tough. You know, I just toured with Desecrator, great bunch of Australian guys, and they really have the chops, and they have the snot, the piss, the vinegar. They don't take themselves too seriously, but they take their music seriously.
Yeah.
And, I love all the elements they had about themselves. And I thought to myself how hard it is for a band of their caliber to get recognized, because the room is so crowded based on social media and the influx of instantaneous technology. You know, I mean, I'm thinking something over here, and then I fart. You could know all the way, where you are in your little piece of paradise in Australia.
Yeah.
And I think that crowds the room and makes the talented, let's say, less recognizable.
Yeah.
So I think it's tough, but I would say that the first thing you must keep is passion in the front end of it. You have to want it to, and that has to be true. You can't just say it. You have to want it under all circumstances, and that all circumstances means people disliking you at one particular time, saying, "I really don't like this. I really prefer these guys more than the Desecrator guys," for instance.
Sure.
And that's really what it's all about. It's not about counting your tours, your shows, your money. It's about your passion. And if that passion comes through and gets, becomes contagious to what your clientele becomes, you're going to have some happy customers. So I think that's probably your starting point, is recognizing whether it's passion or whether it's feigned passion.
Mate, what's your current take on what's your take on the current state of heavy metal at the moment in 2017? You think we've evolved? We're in a good place?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's a healthy scene, man. There's an influx of youth, which shows that there's value into something that happened, 3 decades ago. And I'm not talking Overkill. I'm talking a bunch of those bands we mentioned earlier. I had the Metal Up Your Ass demo. That kind of a.
Yeah. Wow. Yep.
Way
back. Yep.
All the way back then. So I think the influx of youth and the newer bands like the Desecrators, the Shredheads from Israel, the Lost Society, the youth give it legs and give it wings. The experience where I sit gives it something that you can most likely count on. And I think that between the two, it's an absolutely healthy scene right now, and that's based on its value. And the value was created in the underground where it can't get polluted through commerciality.
Yeah.
So when young people come in and they see this, they want to go back to those records you love, from Overkill, and they want to experience Bobby Gustafson's, contributions on Mutants of Decay, and want to go to horror school. So I think that's what keeps it in the public eye, and it's a nice, healthy scene at this particular point.
Yeah, there's nothing more fascinating to me than going to a gig and seeing an 18-year-old wearing an Overkill T-shirt, for example, because I love asking how and why. And I did ask that recently, and the young fella told me that he was perusing YouTube and was looking underneath some recommendations and found the horoscope video. And I had a look recently, mate. that video was posted 5 years ago and almost has 1 million views. Yeah, incredible. Yeah, incredible.
It's well, you know, it boggles the mind, you know, and I think that I have to leave it at the answer I gave you because I really tried to figure it out. I'd probably fuck the whole thing up and it was over. Better to just enjoy it. You know, I'm not going to be around that much fucking longer. I might as well just enjoy it while it's here.
Right. True. Just keep doing what you're doing, brother. Seriously, it's awesome. So, and on that note, and a little bit tongue-in-cheek, could you ever see Overkill doing what Metallica's done and performing with an orchestra or releasing an experimental album like Lulu?
Oh, God, no. No.
I didn't think so. I thought I'd put it out there just to see what the response was, to be quite frank, mate. But
Andrew, I still have to look at myself in the mirror in the morning when I'm brushing my teeth. You know what I mean?
I do, mate. So, mate, this next question, you've alluded to this one a little bit earlier, but the Misfits, Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, Al Di Meola, Ice-T, Wyclef Jean, Lauryn Hill, Overkill, all Jerseyites. What is it about New Jersey that produces such great music?
Well, it's the work ethic. I mean, that's really what it is. I think it's just that simple. There's a realism here. You know, this is where New York would dump its garbage, you know. I mean, I loved having a business. I had this business outside of Manhattan for a 12-year period with my wife, and she really ran it. And you'd get these Manhattanites that would come up, and they'd spend time on the weekends because it was really artsy town, you know.
Yeah.
And they'd ask questions about the 40 chocolates. Oh, in Manhattan we get this. Oh, in Manhattan. And, you know, and then would look at me and I'd say, they're probably from fucking Indiana. They got no idea. No fucking idea about anything about this area. They're just stuck up. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But Jersey collected the garbage from Manhattan. You know, and that speaks volumes with regard to tenacity. So I think that's what it is. It's a great work ethic over there.
Yeah, gotcha. How much time have we got left, mate? I'm just conscious not to go over time for you.
I got about 9 minutes. How's that?
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So you released Live from Oz in 2013, which is a recording of a show in Sydney in 2010. Does Overkill have a special relationship with Australian fans?
No, it was the first time, you know, so we thought that was kind of special, that it was our first time, on the continent. And the experiences were just killer. You know, when it exceeds your expectations, you know, it stays with you. You know, when it's less than your expectations, it can be a forgotten issue. I mean, you may remember that you were there, but you don't remember the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you, I remember I was in Melbourne, right, and we were finishing the show, and I was ready. I was, you know, the shirt was off, everybody was sweating, and I launched myself into the audience, and I was high above that Australian crowd. And as I was coming down, I could see underneath me, I was going to knock this chick out with my knee. And I was thinking, oh, please just fucking move. Just move. Boom. I hit her, right? Knocked her right out. I hit the tour manager. We drag her backstage. She's sitting in a chair. I'm on one knee in front of her. We're trying to get her to come to. We're putting water on her face and everything. I'm slapping her hand to try to get, you know, we're calling the ambulance. And sure enough, chick wakes up, right? She looks me right in the face and she goes, fucking Bobby Blitz. You got a beer?
Mate, that's pretty Aussie, I've got to tell you, mate. That's Australia right there in a nutshell.
And I'm thinking to myself, I love this fucking place.
Yeah. Look, I've spent about 6 weeks all told through various trips in New York, and a lot of the people I met in New York were from Jersey, and there's actually a lot in common between the people from New Jersey and Australians. I find very direct, very frank, working class, honest. Do you find that?
I think so. I mean, I think that we're probably both peoples that for sure take our professions and our loves and our passions seriously, but we want to have a good time while we do it. We don't want to make it a painful process. And I think that's what I found in Australia, that these were seriously committed metalheads, but they wanted to have a few laughs and a good time with the band as much as just seeing this concert of, thrash concert.
Yeah, gotcha. I listened to your chat with Eddie Trunk about a year ago or so, and you guys go way back. What's it like having someone who is as respected and influential supporting the band as Eddie?
Well, Well, we're friends. First and foremost, he was our A&R guy at Megaforce Records during Influence, So, and I knew him at WPHA and always have been doing interviews with him right from the beginning, So, I mean, our careers almost started simultaneously, and we're both Jersey guys, and he's really good friends with Didi. Him and Didi go to football games together. So it's that type of, a relationship. So, but it's, it's invaluable. I mean, it's, he's really, he's the metal guru. To try to stump the Trump, it's pretty hard to do so because he knows so much about metal.
Yeah.
So his word, for sure, is something that, let's just say, his word is the law in many cases. So his support has been invaluable to us. It's just been great.
You're the man, Bobby. I really appreciated having a chat to you, mate. As I say, I've been a fan for a long time, and mate, to be honest with you, having a chat to you has only enhanced my view of the band. You're a gentleman. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It was a good time. I love talking to the Aussies.
Love,
like
mate.
you said, there's something in common.
Definitely, mate. Well, can't wait to see you guys down here to crush a stage again, mate.
Okay, man, go crash those waves. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, mate. No worries. Catcha. Bye.
You've been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that interview featured Bobby Blitz Ellsworth from New Jersey's thrash legends Overkill. Thanks so much for listening.